नानारत्नविभूषितं मृगमदा मोदाकितं चन्दनं जाति चम्पकबिल्लपत्ररचितं पुष्पं च धूपं तथा दीपं दयानि दे पशुपते हस्तकल्पितं गृहतां सौवर्णो नवरत्नकण्डरचिते पात्रे घृतं पायसं भक्षयं पञ्चविधं पयोदधियुतं रम्भाफलं पानकं शाकानामयुतं जलं रुचिकरं कर्पूरकन्दमया विरचितं भक्त्या प्रभो स्वीकुरु छत्रं चामरयोद्युग्यं व्यजनकं चादर्शकं निर्मलं
वीणावेरमृदङ्गकाहलकला गीतं च नृत्यं तथा साष्टाङ्गं प्रणतिस्तुतिर्बहुविधा एतत् समस्तं मया सङ्कल्पेन समर्पितं तव विभो पूजागृहाण प्रभो
आत्मा त्वं गिरिजामति सहचर प्राणशरीरं गृहं पूजाते विषयोपभोगरचना निद्रासमाधिस्थिति संचार प्रदक्षिणविधि स्तोत्राणि सर्वगिरो यद्यत् कर्म करोमि तदखिलं शम्भो तवाराधनम् करचरन् कृतं वा कायजं कर्मजं वा
श्रवणं चं वा मानसं वा परागं वीतं वा वीतं वा सर्वमेतत्क्षं स्वा जय जय करुणानिधे श्रीमहादेव शम्भो नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय
धनी सा गम गम दया करो शिव गंगा धारी
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 कृपा शिव हे त्रिपुरारी
कृपा करो शिव हे त्रिपुरारी
कृपा करो शिव हे त्रिपुरारी
कृपा करो शिव हे
मंगलकारी।
नाम मधुर शुभ मंगलकारी।
अलक निरंजन त्रिशूलधारी।
अलक निरंजन त्रिशूलधारी।
अलक निरंजन त्रिशूलधारी।
अलक निरंजन त्रिशूलधारी।
दया करो कृपा करो रक्षा करो भोला भंडारी।
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 दया करो शिव गंगाधारी।
दया करो शिव गंगाधारी।
दया करो शिव गंगाधारी। Everybody clap your hands.
दया करो शिव गंगाधारी।
कृपा करो शिव हे त्रिपुरारी।
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 दया करो शिव गंगाधारी।
दया करो शिव गंगाधारी।
दया करो शिव गंगाधारी।
दया करो शिव गंगाधारी।
कृपा करो शिव हे त्रिपुरारी।
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 दया करो शिव गंगाधारी। बोलो
दया करो शिव गंगाधारी। दया करो शिव गंगाधारी। दया करो शिव गंगाधारी। दया करो
गंगाधारी।
दया करो शिव गंगाधारी।
शिव गंगाधारी।
दया करो शिव
शिव गंगाधारी।
दया करो शिव गंगाधारी।
दया करो
शिव गंगाधारी।
दया करो
शिव
प्रेम गुरु मापति महादेव की जय. We focus our minds upon divine Lord Krishna. वांता कल्पतरुभ्यश्च
कृपा सिन्धु एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः.
हे Hari Nam, Hari Nam,
Hari Ram Kevalam Karunasteva Nasteva
Naseva Gatiranyata Sri Krishnaya
Vasudevaya
Vindaya Namo Namah. प्रेम से श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय. How often is it in our lives that we become victim of what everybody else is doing? Our young people says, when the mother says to the child, why are you wearing that kind of clothes to go to school? Mom, it's the in thing. Everybody is doing it. Did you know? You're out of touch. Oh, why do you have to speak like that? Oh, Mom, that's the way everybody speaks. Or Dad, oh, why do you have to go to that place? Mom, that's the in place. Everybody goes there. You don't know, you're out of touch. And those who are saying this are not realizing that they are victims of what other people want them to do, not what they want to do. It's like if I create a new flavor of ice cream because I like it, but I want to make money, I have to convince everybody it's nice. So I go on a marketing campaign and I tell you everything good about the ice cream so you can buy it, so I can become rich. And you are thinking you're into the in thing, what you're doing, you're making me rich. In essence, when we become victims of the trend, we are not ourselves. We are not in control. Now someone said, Panditji, if we're not if we're not following the trend, then we are boring. You know, like we are outdated. We're not in, or we're not in the in group. Now if you know anything about fashion, ladies and gentlemen, and clothing, and if you study it carefully, you'll find that every 20 years or so, we go back to the old fashion, and we call it the new fashion, except we use less cloth. And we charge more money for it, although it's less cloth. Did you notice that? The more the cloth is less, the more expensive it is. When it's plentiful, it's cheap. Since the beginning of time, if you look at the trend of people, you know, someone said to me the other day, that Panditji, that you should have a uniform. And which I agree, because I consider myself that this yellow shawl or this shawl and my kurta and dhoti is my, what I call, chaplain uniform. Okay? Or when I'm in the form of serving as a priest. And I wear this dhoti, and you know, many people don't wear dhoti and walk the streets of Toronto, you know. Some people believe it is a very cold day. Well, I must say that I've traveled throughout Canada on airplanes and at the airports wearing a dhoti, and you know, I had no problem at customs. As a matter of fact, what I noticed was that a lot of people who are not Hindus actually bow to me. They give the reverent bow. They're walking by, and I thought, wow, this dhoti thing is a good idea. And when I went to immigration, the custom, you know, if I had a beard, they would have troubled me, but clean shaven, you know, I am. And the idea of the dhoti as a uniform, but my point is that at the beginning of time when humanity started to wear clothes, everything was one piece wrapped around the body. And the reason was because we didn't invent the concept of stitching. So it's one piece of skin from a tree, you wrap, and then we moved it into material cloth and then wrap. As far back as you can go in Western history and Eastern history, you'll find that people wrap their bodies. And the ladies still are wearing saris, which is one piece material. And even in the Christian tradition, Christ wore just a robe. All the Romans and the Greeks, just a robe. One sari fits all. You ever notice that? One size dhoti fits all. We have a size problem. Today, oh God, you go to the store, oh, not my size, it's at 7, it's at 7.5, it's not that. One dhoti you can wrap it any size. It doesn't matter how big the belly is, how small it is. What a wonderful thing that one size will fit all. In the modern world of dress, no one size fits all. For me, when I go to buy, it's always my size they never have. When they have a sale, my size is all gone. So I have to buy, oh, your size, sorry sir, all gone. You know. My point is that over the ages, you and I have invented new way to present ourselves. Because in our clothing, it's our presentation. And we are always very, very creative about how we present ourselves. But you know, the basic you and I are still the same. God still makes a human being with the same features since the beginning of time to now. And our features will never change. The intellect that we come with is also the same potential, but that intellect grows only through our engagement in the world. Today I want to talk about how we engage ourselves in the world and how we become victims of what so-called world wants us to be and not be ourselves. It is said that the wise person in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where the Vyasa tells us, Bhagavan Krishna speaks to Arjuna, Shri Krishnaya
Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namah
Ya Nisha Sarvabhutanam Tasyam Jagriti Sanyami Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyato Me Sri Krishna
Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namah.
Before I give you the meaning of this shloka, everybody is familiar with the Sherlock Holmes, you know, the character. And who is his number one sidekick? Dr. Watson. So Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson were out one night, camping out in the forest. And it's about middle of the night. And they were supposed to be asleep. And Sherlock says, Watson, my boy. Yes, Sherlock. He says, are you awake? He says, of course, of course. So why is that? Well, you know, I just couldn't sleep. And he says, Watson, have you noticed anything? He said, yes, the stars are very bright. And there is a bright set of stars over there, and the moon is shining bright over there. He says, and that is all you observe, Watson? He said, yes, yes, yes. Am I missing something? He says, you fool, Watson. Someone has stolen our tent. The only way he could see the stars because he didn't have any tent. Some of us live our lives and we don't see the reality. We're only seeing the stars and the brightness of the sky. The reality of what is really missing in our life, what has been taken away, we are blinded to that. Because we are looking for the shining stars. And in so doing, we are losing that which is so important. This shloka emphasized that point, saying that the wise man to that person, where the whole world thinks it's a dark thing, they don't want to get involved. The wise man says, wow. And to when the whole world sees it's a bright thing, the wise man says, oh, what a dark thing it is. Because the wise man, like Sherlock, right away, and not be taken up by the stars in the sky. You and I are so taken up by the stars in the sky we fail to see what is missing in our lives. We're so taken up what we want, we fail to stop and think, oh my God, I want this, but this that I have is going away. And what is it that we have that is going away? Another story. About 30 years ago, when I was very young and I had black hair, I used to go to the Caribbean quite a lot. To the island of Trinidad and to my home country, Guyana, to lecture. And sometimes, maybe twice a month I would go there. I'd leave here on Thursday night, fly and come back Sunday night. And very few people knew that I was actually leaving out of the country. But I'd go and I would do lectures in some of the villages. And at that time, Trinidad was going through a massive boom, economical boom. And every night when we finish our pravachan and discourse, there'll be always food and I will eat. And the tradition has always been that the Pandit will eat first. You all know that tradition, right? Have you ever noticed this Pandit eating first in Ram Mandir? As a matter of fact, if I don't beg for some food, don't give me. But there I used to go and get up and go and meet all the devotees and talk to them while everyone is eating. And then I would eat at the end. So what I noticed that a few people will gather and wait until I'm about to eat and they will come and join me at my table. I said, this is good, we have discussions. And one night I noticed that there was a particular group of people that sat with me every night. And I inquired, well, it's good of you. Well, Panditji, we really wanted to talk to you. But we thought that if you waited when you eat, then nobody will be here and we get a chance. So I said, oh, that's good. And they were very complimentary. We'll be listening to your lectures and, and we feel that you're really, really saying what it is. But we have a problem. And we need you to give us some guidance. I said, sure. He says, we have gone through an economic boom and all of us, 5 years ago, we were simple business people. One person said, I used to sell on the street corner. And today I have a large store. Another one says, I used to just buy from all the other farmers and I will sell to the big market. Today I'm shipping overseas and so on. Every one of them was showed that they had simple beginnings and now they are in the big time. And I said, so what's the problem? Well, the problem is not that we don't have, we have plenty. So what's the problem? We have children. I said, that's the problem? No, that's not the problem. He said, we have children who have plenty. I said, so what's the problem? Well, nobody is saying anything. Oh, Pandit, we like to come and listen to you. We like to go to mandirs. But our children do not want to do these things. I says, what do you mean? He says, well, they have everything. They have money. They have clothes. They have car. And some of them we have sent away abroad to study and they're very educated. But they do not want to say, this is nonsense. So that's the problem. I said, that's the big problem. I was a little bit lost for a moment. Then I said, tell me, what did you have before you became wealthy? What do you mean, Pandit? I said, what did you have before you became wealthy? We didn't have anything. I said, really? Of course you had a lot. Well, what do you mean? Well, you had integrity. You had honesty, integrity. You had responsibility. You had devotion and dedication. Yes. I said, what did you give your children? Money, car, education. They have that. You did not give them your responsibility, your love, your discipline, your devotion. You discarded that and only give them. So what are they giving you? What you have given them. Now there was total silence, of course. Now we must ask ourselves this question. Every parent wants to give their children the best of everything. We want to make sure they wear shoes because when we were going to school, we didn't have shoes. We want to make sure they have the best clothes. We want to make sure they eat from the best. But we are failing to realize that when we were going to school, I don't know if any one of you can remember that if you're that old. When I went to school, there was only one pair of shoes. And it wasn't actually a shoe. It was something called a yatin. Anybody knows what that is? Anybody knows what that is? They call them sneakers today, but a very cheap form. It was made of kind of canvas, and you used to wipe. And your job was to whiten it every week. And when you got out there, you had the whitest pair of yatins ever. And boy, you wore that to go to mandir. You didn't wear anything to go to mandir. You went bare feet, right? You wear that for the best outing. You wear it for school, and that was it. And now, how many of you remember the men when you first got your first long pants? All boys used to wear short pants. And they were graduating into long pants at a certain time. Anybody remember this? Or this too long ago for you? If you did, put your hands up. But let me tell you my story about my long pants. Man, when I got my first long pants, I wore that thing every day. I would wash it myself, press it myself, and I'd make sure. And by the way, it was not khaki material, or khaki material, is that what they call it? Khaki material, because that's what you had to wear to school. So I got my mother to buy an expensive kind of material that looked like khaki material, right? So that was very convincing. And we made that long pants, and I wore it 7 days a week when I was wearing a dhoti and kurta. One long pants. And today, I got so many long pants, I don't know which one to wear. And it was such a joy when you wore the long pants. And by the way, you used to press it with what kind of iron? What kind of iron?
Hot iron.
It was not something you plugged in the wall, I can tell you that. It was something you sat on a little thing, you put coals to heat it, and then you press the iron. Wow, what a wonderful life it was. Nobody wants to go back to that. No way, no way, no way. Today we have an iron with 50 settings that nobody uses. They don't know what it is. They just turn it on one setting, but it comes with 500 settings. And we have the best iron in the world, and then we burn the clothes. So in this day of age, we are influenced by all that we get, and the basics is still very good. So the point of my message today is that we must open our eyes of wisdom to look at the world and see really what is it that we think is the best and what is it we think is not. That which we are discarding is our true value, and that which we are latching ourselves onto is like a rock that when we are in an ocean, it will help us to sink. But coming to that realization is one of humanity's greatest challenge. Realizing that that which I hold on to is a rock, and that which I'm letting go is really which will lift me. I will conclude today with one statement. Our attitude in life will determine our altitude in life. Our attitude in life will determine our altitude. Altitude means how high we go. Our attitude, we all know what that means. And by the way, all of us have attitudes. We need to look upon those attitudes and ask ourselves a question: is my attitude like a rock that holds me down? Or is my attitude like an elevating, uplifting thing that makes me rise to a great height? I need to understand that. And in so doing, I will learn to appreciate the basic of the values of life. As we continue over the next few weeks, we shall dwell more upon that which is the value of life that has been discarded in this new age and been replaced by what is called the materialistic world, which is like thin air. I don't know if anybody can remember when software became a big thing. You know, when I started in 1968 to learn to do programming. And at that time, programming was not by code. It was by digits of 1 and 0. And you used to use a circuit board, and you would wire the circuit board. You would actually calculate by wiring a connection from one board to the other. And they had these boards that you would program and load them into a machine that was called, I can't even remember the name of it. One of them was a tabulator. And then you had a sorter. You see them, some of the old James Bond machine, this machine that goes with a card. That was when everything was coming out in a card and a punch card. And then we moved into programming and writing code. And then we move into this new technology whereby everything is so code intensive that you don't know how much code is in the background. I'm losing my thought, but at the point I want to make here. Now let me back up. That in that age of that technology, that at that time a computer was a blue computer, IBM, and it was a big box. It was so big that when in the room that it ran, all the lights were flashing and it used to go boom like an airplane engine. You had to be over 18 to go near to it. I was only 15. So I went to school and learned this thing, but they wouldn't allow me in the room, the big rooms. But we progressed from those things to whereby my cell phone has more power than that big boom that used to be there. And in all of this, has our life changed? Are we better off? Or we become more lazy? Now we can sit in our bed and do click, 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 except we can't call the washroom to ourselves. We got to get up for that one. So we become so sedentary, and inertia has become the way of life. And in so doing, the basic disciplines of life have been discarded. And the basic self-discipline of life has been discarded. In so doing, in reality, we are worse off than our prehistoric ancestors who had nothing more than a rock to make fire, but lived very, very happily. Today we have everything, but yet there is so much unhappiness in the world. Today, as we leave here, let us not be overburdened or feel sad that, oh my God, my life is miserable. No, we have the opportunity to rise above this life. One Krishna is talking about in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, be the wise person. See the light in the darkness and see the darkness in the light. See the light in the darkness and the darkness in the light. Do not be like Watson. Be the Sherlock Holmes. Notice that the tent is missing, and what you're seeing is all the flashing light. Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namah. Sab koi? Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Govindaya Namo Namah.
There was a time when we used to tell a little joke every week so we get people to smile. And I notice everybody is a little bit saddened by this sermon, so I need to tell you something that will make you smile. There is this Jewish grandmother, about 80 years old. She gets a call from her 35-year-old grandson. And on the phone, the conversation went like this. Hello, Grandma. Hi, Sonny. Oh, Grandma, it's your 85th birthday. Oh, yes, it is. I forgot. I'm coming to visit you, Grandma. Oh, so nice. When? Tomorrow, Grandma. Good, good. You know where I live? Yes, Grandma, I know. He said, but by the way, this is the address. 10 something, this street. And when you come, you must press the button 2B by the doorway and use your elbows when you press the button. Okay? And when you come in the building, turn right and go to the elevator. And the 9th floor, use your elbows. And then when you come, I'm right, the first apartment. Yes, Grandma, I'll be there. And I'm looking forward to seeing you. But Grandma, why do I have to use my elbows? You mean you're coming empty-handed? Some of you need to, you want me to translate that for you? When you're coming to the mandir, use your elbows to open the door. That's actually good. I didn't think of it that way. So who wants me to translate this joke? Anybody? You're not all laughing. So I have to tell you one more. Yes? I have to translate. Natarajan wants me to translate. So, not in Hindi, I'm translating in English. Meaning the meaning of the joke. The meaning of the joke. Sunil, where are you? You understand this joke? Hindi boliye.
सारा जोक गुरुजी शुरू से लेके
Speak loud. The same joke.
जी जी सो एक बार क्या हुआ कि एक पोता अपनी दादी को देखने के लिए उनके उनके दादाजी का 85th बर्थडे था और उनको देखने के लिए वो जाना चाहता था। तो क्या हुआ कि दादी ने कहा उसकी कि जब तू मेरे घर आएगा तो आपने क्या करना कि जब आप पहला दरवाज़ा जब आप खोले तो अपना एल्बो यूज़ करना। तो उसने कहा ठीक है दादी जी, मैं वहाँ पे पहुँच जाऊँगा। फिर दादी ने कहा कि जब आप आगे जाओगे तो एलिवेटर से पहले एक और डोर आता है, वहाँ पे दोबारा आपने अपना एल्बो दोबारा यूज़ करना। तो कहता जी ठीक है। तो क्या हुआ कि जब सारी बात होगी तो लास्ट में उसने पूछा कि दादी मैं अपना हाथ क्यों नहीं यूज़ करूँ, मैं अपना एल्बो क्यों यूज़ करूँ। कहते तो खाली हाथ आएगा यहाँ पे।
सभी लोग समझते हैं? अच्छा। So for those of you who wants a joke to be translated, I have another joke to tell you. There was this zoo that this man was going to visit, and as he all the birds, the bees, the animals, everybody are laughing. Oh God, they're laughing. They're laughing like their tummy is getting hurt. And he walks all the way to the end of the zoo and he sees there's a donkey at the end of the zoo. But the donkey's not laughing, he's sitting there quietly. So, thought that was very odd. So he goes, but the next day he goes back to the zoo. Everything is quiet. He goes to the end and the donkey is laughing. Oh my God, the donkey is laughing. So he said, this is very odd. So he goes to the zookeeper. He said, listen, sir, yesterday I was here. And all of the insects and birds and animals were laughing. And that donkey at the end there wasn't laughing. Today he's laughing. He said, oh, he just got the joke. Please. Let's give Natarajan a big hand. He's going to tell us this.
There was one guy, who was unemployed and he didn't get any job. So finally he go around everywhere and finally he went to a circus company. So there they said, you have only one job. Today the tiger is sick. You have to put the, you have to put the hands in the, in the teeth, in the mouth.
In the mouth of the tiger.
So he said, okay, I agree. But although he agreed,
Praise God. जोग भगवान की जोग भगवान की जय।